Hello and welcome into another edition of PHLY Bets, all made possible and brought to you by the lovely people at Bet365. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365 when you use promo code PHLY365 when you sign up. Deposit $10, place a $5 wager, and boom, $200 in bonus bets will magically just drop it into your account, courtesy of the people at Bet365. I hate to report that I was on fire last weekend, but Saturday in college was not my best day, and my bonus bet money has finally ran out, except for some futures that I have placed in there. So, eventually it runs out, but we had a good couple month run there. All right, so let's get into it. We got Thursday night football tonight, Broncos and Saints. We have a great college slate this weekend, in my opinion, with number 1 Texas playing number 5 Georgia. You got Alabama, Tennessee in the mix, plus a couple other games we'll get into as well. But let's start with Thursday night football. Kind of a gross offensive game here tonight. Not going to lie to you. The Denver Broncos and Bo Nix are -2.5, -150 on the money line as they travel to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans to take on the Saints. Over-under on this one comes in at 37, which is just gross. So the injury report on this game is quite extensive. Broncos, so keep an eye on these if you are waiting to place your bets closer to game time when the inactives come out. There's some big enough names that you might want to keep an eye on this one. One, all-pro cornerback Patrick Surtain for the Broncos is questionable. That's a big one for a very good defense. Should have a pretty big impact on this game. For the Saints, much more extensive. Derek Carr is out. Chris Olave is doubtful. Taysom Hill is doubtful. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, is questionable. And then a couple others like Cesar Ruiz, linebacker Pete Warber, and offensive lineman Lucas Patrick, all questionable as well. So the Saints quite beat up here. And let's be honest, everybody was like, oh, Clint Kubiak, the Saints, this offense, it's magical the first 3 weeks of the season. And then boom, the Eagles punched them in the mouth. Derek Carr goes out, and the Saints offense hasn't been the same since. So let's get into some of the trends and facts of this game. These two teams have not met in a long time, dating back to 2020 at this point. The Saints at home this season are 1-2 on the year. The Broncos, on the inverse of that, are 2-1 on the road. When it comes to against the spread numbers, Broncos are 4-2 on the season. New Orleans now 3-3. So not a ton to gather from that information. Broncos games have gone over 4 times this year. Saints have gone over 3 times this year. Both these teams, at least the Saints of the first 3 weeks, probably had inflated numbers because of the offense. But the Broncos offense, led by Bo Nix, most of the Broncos games are kind of sub-40 over-unders there. All right, the Broncos have allowed an average of 92 rushing yards and more than 4.5 catches per game to running backs. Now, it might be one of the Achilles heel of this Broncos very good defense. Alvin Kamara, well, that's his specialty. So if you want to keep Alvin Kamara in mind tonight on Bet365 with some of the player props, probably not a bad one to look at for receiving yards tonight. As you know, without a starting quarterback, you're probably going to look to tight ends and running backs a lot for the safe dink and dunk type of plays. So keep Alvin Kamara tonight in mind for a lot of your player prop bets. And the player props on Bet365 are great. They have set numbers. They have milestones where you can just like round it off to say 25, 50, 75 yards, whatever it may be. And the odds fluctuate depending on what you choose. So there's tons of great stuff. Alvin Kamara's receiving yards. Let's see what it's listed at currently right now. Over-under is 36.5 receiving yards tonight. Kind of like that over. So there's a player prop for you tonight I like. Alvin Kamara, well, he's averaging 70 rushing yards a game and more than 40 yards receiving on over 4.5 catches per game so far on the year, which has resulted in 7 touchdowns in just 6 games. So the Broncos, they've allowed just 16 points per game to opponents this season, which ranks 4th in the NFL. And they have yet to allow an opponent to convert a single 4th down conversion while holding opponents to score on only 33% of possessions when they're in the red zone, which ranks first in the NFL. So they're not allowing teams to convert on fourth down. They're not allowing teams to score at high frequency in the red zone. That leads to them being fourth in the NFL in points allowed. So this is a battle of gross quarterback play tonight. So it does make you think under. 37 is so low. Life is too short to play unders all the time. But I would think if you had to play one here, I like the Broncos a little bit. I think the Saints are very gross and very beat up, and the Broncos stay in every single game and battle with their tough defense. So I kind of like the Broncos a little bit, minus the 2.5. An under in this one, 37. Hold your nose and put it in. And then, I like the Alvin Kamara over 36.5 receiving yards in tonight's game. There's also some college football tonight and tomorrow. We'll take a look at tonight's game. We got BC versus Virginia Tech. BC, a couple games, but this is the one I chose. Probably because my sister went to BC, and I've been to a couple games there, and, I pull for the Golden Eagles a little bit. All right, so BC is plus 7.5, plus 240 on the money line at V-Tech with Enter Sandman and a tough environment to play. Over-under on that one is 48.5. Both teams coming off a bye week, so both teams on equal footing in that they haven't played since October 5th. Boston College is 0-3 against the spread in its last 3 games. You remember they started off the season in Ireland and were kind of, with Castellano, the quarterback, kind of a little against the spread darling. People, they came into the top 25. People thought they might have a little something. Well, back to reality these last 3 games. Now, Castellano has been a little nicked up. But they think, and reports are, that he's healthy now. So we'll see what happens. Boston College, last 4 games have all gone under. Boston College 0-3 against the spread, as we said. And Boston College's defense, which ranks 16th nationally, has allowed just an average of 17.2 points per game so far on the year. It's a lot of points for a VTech team that has been struggling a little bit themselves offensively. I probably would take the Eagles here plus the 7.5, but if that number is 6.5, I'm taking VTech. It's right around the line that it probably should be, but I would probably slightly lean Eagles, not a huge play on this one. Friday night. All right, we got some NCAA football, Friday night lights. Oregon, they are a 27.5 point favorite. And if you're a spicy money line gambler, you can lay minus $5,000 to win $100 on Oregon. Sound like a good bet? No, it's absolutely a moronic bet. Never lay minus 5,000. They're at Purdue. Over-under on this one is 61. All right, some trends and information on this game. Oregon has won 2 games against the spread this season, so they are not an against the spread darling at all. Purdue has just covered once in 5 games within the spread this year. Purdue covered a 20-plus point underdog line last week, and Oregon has not covered a spread of bigger than 20 yet on this season. Purdue's defense, though, it's terrible. They've given up 556 yards to Illinois last week, and they've sulked down to a bottom 5 defense in the nation. The Boilermakers are 3-6 against their spread, dating back to their last 9 games. The Oregon Ducks, on the inverse, are 5-1 in their last 6 games on the road. The under has hit in 6 of Oregon's last 8 games as the favorite. Over-under on this one does seem pretty high in relation to the spread. They are expecting Purdue to put some points on the board here. I'm a kind of an Oregon Duck sucker better. I always like watching them play. Kind of a fun offense, fun team to cheer for points. And when things are going right, they'll ramp it up and go for the kill shot. So I don't love it at all, but I would take the Oregon minus 27.5. Again, an under feels gross, but it does seem a little inflated to me. All right, Saturday slate. Now, this game is awesome. Outside of Alabama and Georgia earlier this year, I would say this one is the best game of the year. Number 5, Georgia. They're plus 5, plus 165 underdogs are traveling to number 1 Texas to face the Longhorns. This should be a great game. Texas has won all 6 of its games by at least 19 points on the season. Georgia will be the toughest offense Texas has faced this year, though. The Dogs' 442.8 yards per game ranks 23rd in the country. So Georgia, after that Alabama game, they crawled back into it in the second half. Well, Carson Beck and the Bulldogs offense has since kind of awoken since that moment after getting off to a sluggish start to the year. Texas is steamrolling people. Georgia's in dogfights, for lack of a better word, week to week. So it's an interesting dynamic of a team that's been coasting a little bit, being the number 1 team in the country, hosting a really hungry number 5, super talented team. The Bulldogs of Georgia, well, they're just a 20% against the spread coverer this year. Coverer. They're 1-4 on the year in their last 5 games in terms of covering the spread. The Texas Longhorns are straight up 9-0 in their last 9 games at home. The under has hit in 7 of Georgia's last 10 games as a favorite. They are a dog here, so that doesn't really apply. And Georgia has failed to cover the spread in 5 straight games and has been one of the worst against the spread teams in college football this season. I love Texas. It's one of my favorite plays this weekend. Quinn Ewers is back. He came back last weekend and looked good. Didn't need to put up a paltry number day, but he has that Texas offense humming. Really good defense. Texas is back, number 1 team in the country. That place is going to be rocking Longhorn Stadium. So I'm going to roll with the hometown favorite. 5 points is totally fair to me. I do think this will be a close game, but I think Texas can cover this by a 7 to 10 point kind of range. So give me Texas all weekend. It's one of my favorite plays. All right, another big one on Saturday, another SEC game, number 7 Alabama. They're -3, -155 on the money line at Rocky Top, taking on the number 11 Tennessee Volunteers. Over-under on this one is 56. Tennessee is 4-1 against their spread in their last 5 games against teams that are 500 or better record. So Tennessee is showing up well in these types of games. Tennessee has lost 7 of their last 10 games as an underdog. That sets off some alarms. Tennessee is 1-4-1 against the spread as a home underdog in 4 seasons under Josh Heupel. Again, not in the favor of Tennessee there. Tennessee has gone under in 11 of 18 games against ranked opponents under head coach Josh Heupel. And Alabama is 1-2 against the spread this season in SEC games. Anytime I can get Alabama as a favorite, less than 3 points, I'm in. Say less. I will roll with Kalen DeBoer and roll Tide this weekend. If you have the option on Bet365, you can maybe massage that down to -2.5 for some higher odds. But give me Alabama in this one for sure. All right, next up, another top 25 matchup as number 24 Michigan is -3.5, -165. They're traveling to the Fighting Illini of Illinois. Over-under on this one is 43.5. Michigan, they've somehow managed to go over in 3 straight games against a series of relatively low totals, including 34.5 and 39.5 the past 2 weeks. There's been some deflation of the over-under on Michigan numbers because their offense is not as good as it has been in years past. So I think there was some self-correcting there by the books. But Michigan has found a way to go over the deflation of their over-under number. This one's at 43.5. Illinois does have a nice offense, so I kind of lean over in this one for sure. Illinois has gone over the totals in the 40s 2 of the last 3 weeks. Illinois is 15-8 against the spread as an underdog in 4 years under coach Burt Bielema. Fun fact, Burt Bielema sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when I saw Phillies Cubs this summer at Wrigley. Illinois has gone under in 14 of 24 home games under Burt Bielema, and Michigan has gone 10-5 against the spread as a road favorite over the past 5 seasons. So pretty favorable against the spread numbers there for Michigan on the road. Michigan is 1-5 against the spread this college football season. Illinois, on the other hand, 4-1 against the spread this football season. My gut says to take Illinois. My head kind of says to take Michigan. This will be one I decide on Saturday which direction I'm going. My gut right now says Illinois, but I could be talked into a Michigan talk. They're not an against the spread darling this year, whereas Illinois is doing pretty well in that regard. All right, 2 more games, and then we'll let you go, people. Number 7, LSU, 2.5-point favorite, -135 on the money line. They're traveling to Arkansas. Over under on this one is 55.5. This should be a nice evening CBS SEC game where I'm betting the over. Hopefully we roll the winnings all day and bet the over on this one. LSU is 4-12-1 against the spread in its last 17 games against Arkansas. So for whatever reason, the Razorbacks show up in this meeting. The total went under in 6 of Arkansas's last 7 games at home against LSU. I know I said I like the over, but that is a pretty damning number for the under there. LSU is 1-4 against the spread as a 3-point or greater favorite this season. Certainly not great. A lot of stuff is trending here in Arkansas's favor. Arkansas is 3-0 against the spread as a 3-point or greater underdog. So both teams very telling there in the 3-point lines. LSU 2-4 against the spread overall on the season. Just 33% of the time are they covering. Arkansas, on the other hand, 5-1 against the spread, covering at an 83% clip. The total has gone over. The total has gone over in 15 of LSU's last 20 games. So a lot of numbers here tell you to take Arkansas in this one, plus the 2.5. Maybe you want to dabble on that money line there. The over-under, a lot of the trends say go under, but that last one, LSU games have gone over in 15 of their last 20. All right, and then finally, the last game we'll talk about and preview. And remember, use code PHLY365 when you sign up at Bet365. You can find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. The last one we'll talk about is Miami and Louisville. And for some reason, I always like this game. Just in terms of it seems like a fun matchup, usually close, usually somewhat high scoring. Miami is -5. Over-under on this one is 59.5. And if you want to lay Miami on the money line and Heisman hopeful Cam Ward, you got to lay -205 to get there. All right, some trends and information in this one. The Hurricanes have dropped their last 2 games against the spread. They escaped as a 17.5-point road favorite at Virginia Tech, which we talked about earlier. They got out of that one 38-34. We're lucky to have the win. And then as a 10-point underdog, Cal covered versus Miami 39-38. They won on a 2-point conversion in overtime. So Miami's been playing with a little bit of fire there recently in terms of being a big favorite. Not a big one in this one because it's kind of a rivalry game in this new age of college football. The 4-2 Louisville Cardinals have dropped their past 3 against the spread, losing outright at Notre Dame and at home to SMU over that span. Miami is 4-4 against the spread as a road favorite in 3 seasons under Mario Cristobal. And Louisville is 2-1-1 against the spread against ranked opponents in the 2 seasons under head coach Jeff Brom. Miami has gone over in 4 of 8 games this year as a favorite. I like Miami in this one. Give me the -5, and there's no way I'm betting it under in this game. Give me the over 59.5. So those are a preview of some of the big games this weekend, starting tonight with Thursday night football. You got some Friday night college football action and then a full slate on Sunday. Some really good games out there. Make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled for odds boosts and promo boosts, including our own PHLY boosts. I cooked a little Saquon Barkley same game promo special up for Sunday morning, and Bet365 is going to boost that. So make sure you're looking for that. They're the best at live in-game betting. They have early payouts, offers, and all that good stuff. So many bets to make. It's great. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and want help, please, of course, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, I'll share with you the little same-game parlay I cooked up tonight. I think this is a plus 1,400 piece in tonight's game, and then the 2 college games of the weekend. Here we go. We're going Broncos -3, and Alvin Kamara anytime touchdown scorer and hold your nose and put in the under of 37. Ugh. I hope that goes under. Betting under 37 is gross. We talked about it. I love Texas this weekend versus Georgia. Georgia's a little bit back. They've crawled back to life. They're going to be a tough out, but I still think Texas can cover this one by a touchdown or so. And then the final one, give me Miami to get back on track versus Louisville in a little bit of a shootout, high-scoring game. Hopefully Miami can just score more than Louisville. So that's going to do it for us here at PHLY Bets. We will be back on Sunday morning. And you hockey puckheads out there, keep your eyes peeled. There might be a Saturday home opener, Matvey Michkov Flyers win promo boost coming your way as well. They're all located right there on the homepage at Bet365. Use that promo code PHLY365 when you sign up, and you can get $200 in bonus bets. Of course, let's have fun. Let's be informed. Let's win some bets, and let's take all of Bet365's money. They're encouraging us to try and do that. So let's be the best big gamblers we can be and have some fun. And remember, just gamble responsibly. All right, I'll see you on Sunday morning to preview the full day slate of NFL action. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.